Completely investigation titled PFC Paranormal at the Willowbranch Library.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Completely Booked, the official podcast of the Jacksonville Public Library. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Gabby. Halloween is right around the corner, so we have a spooky special edition of Completely Booked for you today.
That's right. We teamed up with PFC Paranormal to investigate the Willowbranch Library. Located in Riverside, the Willowbranch Library opened in 1930, making it the oldest existing library branch in Jacksonville.
The Completely Booked podcast crew and the PFC Paranormal team spent a Saturday night in the library searching for any signs of paranormal activity. Before the investigation, we interviewed Misty Darnell, the founder of PFC Paranormal, and one of her team members, Bree. From a young age, Misty had multiple terrifying paranormal experiences and never realized what was happening until a friend witnessed one of the events. Over the years, Misty developed and mastered her investigation skills.
Misty started PFC Paranormal to help others with their paranormal concerns and questions. Her team provides an understanding and non-judgmental environment for their clients and aim to educate the community in all things paranormal. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Misty's goal is to provide all evidence to her clients and to let people make their own decisions based on the evidence presented.
So without further ado, here is our interview with Misty and Bree, along with some bits from our paranormal investigation ride-along.
Well, thank you, Misty and Bree, for being here.
Well, thanks for having us.
It's definitely different to be at the Willowbranch Library at night. It is kind of spooky.
Especially at that staircase over there.
Yeah. So when you first got here, you did your first initial walkthrough. So can you tell us a little bit about what you found, like the vibes?
Sure. I mean, every vibe that I did pick up on in the library so far has all been positive. I picked up some residual energy outside, and it was consisted of a lot of street traffic. I would say turn of the century, and also like horse and buggies. A lot of activity going on here across the street from the library. And then also, as we made our way downstairs through the spooky staircase, we ran into a female. She did kind of identify herself that she wasn't a part of the library, but she does love coming here. And then also another male figure. And again, I didn't get any type of negative vibes from them, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of activity we get tonight.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about PFC Paranormal?
Sure. PFC, I moved down here about 4 years ago, and I have been investigating for about 17 years. So when I made the trek down here, I decided to start my own paranormal investigation group.
Where'd you come from?
Northern Kentucky.
Okay.
I started up there when I was a youngin', and I investigated with a group up there. We did the same thing as we do down here. We're a nonprofit. We enjoy helping people and also identifying their issues that they have in their home as far as paranormal activity. So when clients contact us, it's usually through our website, and it's either to prove or disprove the hauntings that they're having in their home.
And how did you get started with paranormal investigation?
Well, it all started when I was younger. I had a series of very unfortunate events due to paranormal issues I had, and it all stemmed from a Ouija board. And that's why even to date, I always state never use a Ouija board, don't touch it, just because it just brings a lot of negativity with it. It kind of opens up something that you really don't want in your home. And with that, I had to deal with a lot of negative stuff throughout probably all of my teenage years up until I was around 18 or 19. And that's when I had met a friend, and she introduced me to what paranormal was, the issues that I had in my life, and also the attachments I had from all those years ago. And also brought to the forefront that I am a medium. So that, in itself brings a lot of activity to your life, your home. Some of it you call to, some of it you don't. And that's when you have to, kind of protect yourself and protect your home. And that's why I started the group and also started paranormal investigating, because I wanted people who had issues like me when I was younger to have a relief of some sort or answer questions answered.
So what kind of work do you do for your clients? Is it mostly residential? Do you do a lot of commercial, kind of historic projects?
It is mostly residential. We have had clients call us from businesses. Usually they They try to keep it on a down low just because it is a public place and they don't want people to get scared, but they want their employees to feel comfortable in their business. So we usually go in, we validate the claims that are going on, and we also try to give them a logical explanation as well. Because there has been cases we've gone to where the children are experiencing paranormal activity where they're seeing a ghost of some sort or a spirit, but come to find out it has a logical explanation, such as EMF. So EMF can come off of your phones, comes off electrical boxes, your TVs, refrigerators. They send off a lot of EMF. And when you have high amounts of EMF in the room, it can cause delusions, paranoia. You see things. And there was one particular case where children were seeing these particular spirits in the backyard. And they swore up and down they would see these things. So we go into the investigation and we have our K2 there. And we would see in both children's rooms where it would kind of flow from one room to the other. And then as we start looking through, the main breaker box is right behind their beds. And that explained a lot because they have that EMF feeding right into their room and right where they're sleeping. She moved the beds, everything was fine, no issues. So that's a logical explanation to something that they feel was going on in the home.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the initial Ouija board experience you had as a kid?
Well, I mean, I think every child or kid, is curious about stuff that is, forbidden, so to speak. So I always begged my mom to get me a Ouija board, and she refused. And of course, being a kid, you're constantly, Mom, I want. She finally gave in. And we were at an auction one day, and it was an old Ouija board. I would say probably from like maybe the 60s. And we took it home, and I had a little neighbor girl that came over. She was my friend. And we started playing and just asking dumb questions, does this boy like me? Or, what color is my underwear? Some stupid questions, as kids would do. And we just thought it was games and fun. And then I started noticing after we kept using the board that things in the house started to act funny, so to speak. The first instance that I seen was I was upstairs by myself in my room, just kind of chilling out and listening to music. And I heard something rumble in my closet. And I was like, well, maybe one of the cats got in there. And then the door kind of peeked open just a little bit. I'm like, well, that's weird. And I can't really explain it, but except it looks like, how heat comes off of the asphalt. It looked like that. And it kind of walked out of my closet. I was like, oh, that's not supposed to be there. That was really strange. So I was like, okay, that's not right. And then as time went on, the activity started to increase. And I think one of the most horrifying moments I had, was I was taking a shower. I was probably about 12, and I heard the bathroom door open. Now, I'm an only child. I thought it was my mom or something coming in. And I was like, just ignored it. I thought she had to use the bathroom or something. And I hear somebody walk in, and they stop right in front of the shower curtain. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? And then I see a little tiny handprint, probably of a little child. It comes up to the shower curtain. And I'm like, oh my God. And I know, again, I'm an only child. There's nobody else in this house. And it slowly starts pushing the shower curtain up to where I was almost pinned against the wall. I screamed. I throw the shower curtain back, and I run downstairs, and I'm butt naked. And my dad's like, what are you doing? And he still to this day doesn't believe me that it happened, but it did happen. And then also just things would follow me everywhere. It would follow me to school. And I went to Catholic school. It would follow me to school. I would hear it call my name. I would see dark shadows walking in my closet or in my room. Things would come out and sit on my bed. So it was years of that. And it wasn't just me that experienced it. My friends that would hang around with me a lot would experience things as well.
So are these the same friends that used the Ouija board with you?
No, these were different people throughout the years.
Okay.
Yep.
And so how did you put two and two together that these spirits, like maybe the Ouija board was like an open invitation to you?
Yes.
Is that how you perceive
Right.
it first started for you?
Right. And so as Ouija boards are, it's kind of like a phone book. You start playing with a Ouija board, you're just going to open up and talk to whoever's there. You don't know who it is. They can represent themselves as a family member or, a famous person, whatever it might be. And it's really not. It's usually maybe a negative thing trying to come through, something that's trying to attach to you, something that's trying to get out.
Did you use a Ouija board more than once?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, as a kid, I did.
Yeah. I mean, I remember using a Ouija board at like sleepovers and just being just like so afraid of it that, I mean, I definitely did use it and like moved the little circle thing around with the magnifying glass looking thing in the middle and was like, it just seems like too much for me. So,
and a good chunk of our cases actually are Ouija board cases.
mm-hmm.
And it's where it opens up a portal in the home, and unfortunately, and different things that come through at any time. And
so what do you think it is about Ouija boards that are like allow spirits to talk to you?
It's a form of communication with spirits. So it's just like dowsing rods or pendulums, tarot cards. They're all one and the same. So it's forms of communicating with the afterlife or things on the other side. So, and like I said, I'm all for anything that you do want to practice or use, but as long as you use it with respect and you learn how to close it down properly and protect yourself.
And how does one close it down properly?
You have to say goodbye in a certain way. It's just like the Ouija board has goodbye at the bottom. Make sure it says goodbye when you close it down. Just like tarot cards, usually people who do readings for a living, they open up in a circle and they close down the circle when they're done. But they use it like a certain form of prayers or meditation to do that as well. Same goes for dowsing rods and pendulums too.
Good to know.
Yes.
And Bree, so you said that you first went on an investigation with Misty. Can you tell us a little bit about this investigation that you went on?
It was at the Green Cove Springs County Jail.
Tell us a little about Green Cove Springs County Jail. Is it open, or is it like a closed jail?
It's the Historical Society now down in Green Cove.
Okay.
So they have a new jail. But
Okay.
this is the old one, the original one.
Okay.
My first experience there, I was sitting on the steps, and I had the K2 in my hand, and I was asking it some questions, and my necklace turned. It was laying on my chest, and it just turned, and I was like, "Do you like my necklace?" And it went to red, and I was like, "My mom bought that for me," and I was like, and it just twisted right back. And I went to tell Misty. I was just like, this just happened. She's like, well, go sit over there again. But nothing ever happened after that, except we were up by the what are they called? The jail cells? Yeah, the jail cells. And I'm recording, and I just see a green light go up. And we actually use that in one of our presentations.
We do have that in our presentation that we're doing with the libraries now. So it's a green anomaly that flies into the picture, over and out.
Very cool. So can you tell us a little, you keep referencing the gear that you guys use. Can you tell us a little bit about the different types of gear you guys use on your investigations?
As Bree just said, a K2 meter, so that reads electromagnetic fields. So we can use this meter to determine, one, if there is other disturbances in the area, that could be a logical explanation. Or two, we can interact with the spirit by asking it to walk in front of it, or either there's certain colors on it, we can ask it to go to a different color to try to communicate with us. Then we also have our digital recorder, and we use that for EVP evidence or electronic voice phenomena. And then we have our night vision cameras, which you guys are going to see tonight. So it's going to be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what examples of evidence do you guys end up with that you use in your presentations?
Our presentations consist of EVP evidence. So when we do cases, that's probably about 95% of what we get. If people watch the shows on TV, you always see doors moving, different, all these shadows moving back and forth. But what people usually don't know is that these cases are done or conducted over a week period. So they're there for a week straight, where we only go in usually on Saturday nights for about 5 or 6 hours. So we have a very limited amount of time. So again, most of our cases come out with EVP evidence. We do come out with video and photo evidence as well, which we have all of that in our presentation.
And can you explain the difference between an orb and an apparition?
So orbs actually are dust particles, or it could be water or moisture that's in the air. When you take a picture, the flash reflects off of all of this, and it bounces back as a circle. Now, I have had evidence where I do believe it is some type of spirit light or apparition that is small. There was a case that me and Bree did. We were sitting in a child's room where most of the activity was happening, and we both seen a gigantic white light appear right in front of us. There was no other light sources that came in from anywhere, and we both looked at each other at the same time. I'm like, did you see that? She's like, oh, yeah, I did. But that is significant because it's a light that came out of nowhere. But spirits themselves, it takes a lot for them to manifest. That's why a lot of times you see it's usually like small knocks or very light whispers when you hear EVP evidence, because it takes a lot for them to do that. That's why sometimes our batteries are drained. We get drained because they can take energy from us as well. When I do a case, I usually leave and I'm completely tired, because doing readings and trying to listen to this all night is very, very tiring.
And have you ever had, during one of your investigations, another negative experience similar to the Ouija board, or is it mostly positive?
It's a mixture of both. We do have cases where people call us in to just validate the things that are going on in their home. They don't want it to go anywhere. They just want to make sure they're not, quote unquote, going crazy. So we come in to validate that. We also have cases that are negative in a sorts. There was one particular that was in Middleburg that Bree was with me. And this evidence is also in our presentation as well, that normally we are at a location for about 5 or 6 hours, but this one we were only there for maybe 2.5, 3 total. And it's just because the activity the clients were having prior to coming into the home was very negative in nature. It was to a point where they thought were being possessed. When we did a first walkthrough, we got touched. A couple of our investigators were scratched that night. What really kind of tipped the bucket for me that night was when one of our cameras was picked off the tripod and sat back down. And I just didn't want to chance not only my investigators, but the family, because they had to stay there after we left. Now, again, we don't go into the home, with guns blazing. We actually go in there with logical questions to ask where it's from, why it's there, so on and so forth. We don't provoke in any way. And we weren't provoking in any way. And it was coming at us very, very negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So
Were you able to resolve that?
that is one case that we were not. My goal with all of my clients is to give them a resolution, whatever it is it might be. So either it's a clearing or validation. And in this case, it was just nothing we really could do, because the evidence was always pointing to, I'm not going anywhere and you can't make me. And it was a very negative spirit. And that was probably the one and only time so far to date that I've actually told a client just to move.
Yeah.
It was
Did
a
they
rental.
move? Do you know if they moved?
I think they were. It was a rental. And even before we even got started, there was me and Tony, our other investigator, was in the house by ourselves. And we heard a laugh, and it was so creepy. And I just looked at him. He's like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And that was even before we got started.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad night overall.
One thing that I find so amazing about your team is that you do this all free of cost.
Yes.
And you don't monetize it. Is there some sort of drive within you what makes you take on all these clients and not monetize it?
It is. It's hard because all of my members volunteer their time.
Oh, yeah. And I want to mention to our listeners, they all do have full-time jobs. So this is something that they do as a passion.
Yes, it is a passion. Every single one of us has a full-time job. We work Monday through Friday. We have families, we have kids, we have animals. We all have bills to pay. So everything that we do for this team is completely free. So all the equipment that we have, anything that we go to, like our library events, all the gas, the time, is all out of our pocket. We do accept donations, but we never ask for them. We do sell some little small things on our website as well. But again, it's more of a passion to make sure that people are comfortable in their homes. That is my main goal. And we want them to take back what is theirs. Because sometimes when a negative spirit is in a home, it's trying to overtake the home. And not even necessarily people in it, but just the home itself. So it's about part of giving them strength and the ability to take back their home and to clear it themselves moving forward. So we'll go in and clear the home, but we'll also give them the tools to learn how to do it themselves too. So in the future, hopefully nothing will happen, but if it does, they know what to do.
Do you believe in sage? You know how I cleanse with sage? Do you guys do that as part of
Yes.
your investigation? And
we do use sage. The sage is one of the main parts of doing a clearing, along with prayer as well. So prayer goes a long way.
So can you talk a little bit more about your team? Like, how many members do you have and how did you recruit them all?
Well, PFC is going on its 4th year. The first year around, it was only me and 3 other people, so 4 total. And now we've grown to 9 over the last 4 years. And every single one of my members came from membership drives. So we do have membership drives every maybe once a year when we have the need to add more investigators. And as this past year has shown, we have had a significant increase in cases here in Jacksonville. So I've had to add more investigators. So as time goes on, if we get more cases, we'll definitely have to add more people.
Do you go on every investigation?
I do. I do have to go on every single one, whether I'm sick or not. Some of my other investigators, like I said, they all have kids. They have families too. People get sick. So that's why I have a good number of people to make sure that we have enough staff as we go out on cases.
So what are some of the most haunted places in Northeast Florida?
I can tell you one is the Old Spanish Trail. They are unfortunately not in business anymore. They sold their property this past summer, but the Old Spanish Trail is off of Beaver down I-10. And we were the only paranormal investigation group allowed to come in there. And we've investigated that place several times. Bree was able to go on one of the last investigations there. You had your name called, wasn't it? Yeah. You were pulling up, and she was the last one there. She got there late. And she's walking up the steps outside, and she heard somebody call her name.
And before I even got out of the car, I opened my door, and I just heard a woman's voice. I've never been there before. And she goes, hello. And I was like, is anyone down here? And I'll go upstairs. No one, everyone's upstairs. So it was really soft and very sweet, very welcoming. And I did realize then that there was a lady there that was, her name was Rosa. So
There's several entities that haunt that facility. It's now been bought and it's going to be renovated to, I believe, be like a wedding hall. But they're still in the renovations right now. And from my understanding, and we have been there since they've sold the property, the new owners have started to pretty much gut the entire inside to redo it. And they have had very significant activity since they've started the renovations, where they've heard footsteps, stomping, their tools are being moved. They hear talking and voices. And the last thing that happened was the worker was walking up the steps, and they have all the doors open in the building to let it air out. And all of them slammed at once. He's like, yep, I'm done. I'm walking out. I don't want to be here after night anymore. And they had us come in and do another walkthrough. And it was very apparent that Rosa, which is she takes care of the place no matter what, that she was very upset about all the renovations that were going on. Another haunted location is Green Cove Springs Jail. We've been there several times, and every single time we've gone there, there has been significant activity all the time. We've gotten great K2 activity where we've asked it to go to certain colors, and it'll go directly to that color. We've gotten EVP evidence out of that place. We've also gotten visual evidence. Orbs, so to speak, but they're light anomalies that appear right in front of you. So that was quite interesting.
So what arguments do you have for people who are skeptical of paranormal activity?
Well, I don't argue, and I am up for anybody's opinion. I am not here to change your mind about anything. So when we do our presentations, we show our evidence, and we ask you to build your own opinion about what we have captured. Now, I do believe that it is paranormal activity that we've captured, and you can give me your opinion on it as well, and I'll be glad to hear it.
Do you think there are some people that are more susceptible to paranormal activity, or is it just that you just have to be open and everyone has a gift for paranormal activity, or being able to talk to spirits?
I think I could. I'll have Bree speak to her, because I know you have limited experiences when you were younger, but I know investigating with the team so far, it has increased.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, I've never had really anything big happen when I was younger, but since I've been working, with the team, I was actually walking out to my truck to get my charger, and I come back to the walking towards the house, and I hear like grass moving behind me, like something is running at me, and I turned back really fast with my phone because it was dark and nothing was there. Like I just felt the energy coming towards me, and that till this day has made me chill bumps. I was honestly very scared because I didn't know, what it was. I thought something was about to attack me. So like that's just the energy that I felt. I thought it was like an animal or something, but nothing was there.
I think like most people have had weird, occasions where things like that have happened, but they come up with some logical explanation as to what it was. Do you think that if you're just a little bit more open, you might think that it's a spirit or?
No, I do think that you have to be open to the opportunity of an experience. Now, I'm not necessarily saying, because I've known people that have been investigating for quite some time and never actually had a personal experience with something actually happened to them. And then finally something did happen. But and they were in deep, they've done multiple investigations, and it was probably about a couple of years before they actually had a personal experience, but they still had one. And I also think that logical explanations are good, they're valid. I myself am very skeptical of evidence that I see. If I'm looking at a video, unless I'm there, I'm still kind of on the fence because I'm not there. I don't know who was there. I don't know if somebody was walking in the back, if it was either imposed. I really don't know. But I can say for a fact that any evidence that we do reveal out to the public is for a fact paranormal activity that I cannot explain in any way whatsoever. So
you guys have a podcast as well, Island of the Weird. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Island of the Weird. It started out as a podcast, and now we're moving that over to YouTube. It's a bigger platform, and we're going to start migrating that over probably at the first of the year because right now we're booked all the way through December, not only with presentations, but with cases as well. So just time's kind of limited right now. But yes, we talk about all things paranormal, not just ghosts. So paranormal itself is anything that is unexplained. And that goes for Bigfoot, spirits, angels. It can be anything from like banshees to gnomes.
Loch Ness Monster?
Loch Ness
I saw
Monster.
the UFO episode.
Yeah. That's one thing that freaks me out. Now, I've known a couple of people that have had like really one-on-one experiences, and it's really creepy to hear some of those. And I've only had one, and it's unexplainable. It even hit the news that night when we were out, because we were out at dinner. It was me and my family, and I look up and I see these lights just kind of hovering in the sky, and I'm like, oh, it's an airplane, something, because we're right by the airport. And I keep watching it for about 5 minutes as we're on the highway, and it's not moving. So I tell my dad to pull over, and we're not the only ones noticing it, because then there's like several cars starting to pull over on a major highway. And we're looking at these lights, and then it broke out into like 3 of them, where it's almost like a triangle. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And my daughter's looking at me like freaking out. She's like, what is that, Mom? I don't know what it is. And I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden it broke into like 4, and then slowly it just kind of blinked out. Now, it was on the news that night, and they said it was like those paratroopers that jumped out for the football game that has like the lights on their feet or whatever. And I'm like, no. We sat there for a good 20 minutes watching it. It didn't move. So I knew it wasn't that. So it is unexplained. I mean, I guess that you could say it was a UFO because it was in the sky. But to this day, I have no clue what it was.
So when you have a client that is interested in working with you, how do they go about contacting you?
We usually have our clients contact us through our website. We have a case request form that's out there, or if you just have a general question, you can ask us a general question as well. But we're also out on Facebook, and we have an Instagram page as well, and YouTube.
Okay. And so when they reach out to you, are they like, hey, they call or email and they're like, hey, I have this happening in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, we'll bring our team out there and investigate.
Yeah, I mean, one of our case managers will give them a call, and they'll talk through some of the stuff that's going on, and we'll see what the client will feel comfortable with first. So usually maybe just a walkthrough first to see what we could kind of look at or pick up on, or if it's more of a negative case, or usually if children are involved, we kind of push that up to the top because we don't want them to feel uncomfortable. But we normally try to get out there as soon as we can. Our schedule is kind of tight, but we do probably about 2 cases a month, maybe 3 if we have to push one in there somewhere.
Okay. And I'm really interested in like the resolving of the client's, residence.
Mhm.
Like, so you touched on sage. Can you tell us a little bit about the prayer?
I usually use a St. Michael prayer, but I also give these tools to the client as well. So what works for me may not work so much for somebody else. So depending on your religious background, I always tell you the power is in your prayer, whatever prayer that you want to use. As long as you're telling him, this is my space and you're not allowed to be in my space and you need to leave. So it's not only about me coming in to do a clearing of the home. It also means that this homeowner has to take responsibility back for their home and their house. So it's not just me. It has to be also that client as well.
And it seems like most of the work that you do involves some outside spirit coming in. Do you also help people who want to contact a loved one, or if they want to be the one to reach out to the spirit first?
No, we don't really do that, or at least I don't. I mean, I am a medium, but I don't do readings so much anymore. It's usually just for my clients. So if I'm at the location and something does happen to come through as a message, which has happened quite often, I give that message to the client, which usually comes at a pretty good time. So they're very happy one way or another.
Do you want to become a medium? Like, is that like do you go on these investigations to become a medium? Like,
No.
I wanted to kind of touch on how one becomes a medium.
I don't think, you could learn to become a
Okay.
medium. I think it's just it just happens. Like,
Okay.
Misty, it didn't come for years before, until after, so I don't think you could become a medium. I think it comes to you. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And Misty, did it take you a while to kind of identify as a medium? Like you had all these experiences growing up and just kind of years of having these encounters before. Did it take a while to realize like, okay,
It did, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So back then, all this stuff was taboo. Nobody liked to talk about it. It was all scary and freaky. And I knew there was something odd about me. I just didn't know what it was. I remember the first time I watched Sightings, and I know you guys probably don't know what that is, but Sightings was one of the first paranormal shows that was on TV. And I remember watching it, and I'm like, I have that happen to me. And I started listening because they would have psychics and mediums on there. I'm like, oh, yeah, that happened to me too. And I started kind of putting it together, realizing that maybe there is something odd that I'm hearing. Because I would always, when I was little, I would always have these friends that would come around. I always thought it was just a vivid imagination. But honestly, they were probably there and not realizing it was just not my imagination. I was actually talking or interacting with spirits. And, my parents, they were open to a lot of different things, but they didn't think it could happen to me, I guess you could say. So for all my childhood, I had to pretty much deal with it on my own because nobody would either believe me or listen to me. And nothing against my parents, but they just didn't think they just thought it was my imagination, whatever it might be. Now, as I'm an adult now, they're just like, man, I wish I listened to you because now they know all the abilities that I do have. But it was quite a journey to get to where I am now, though.
And
There's a show called Medium that stars Patricia Arquette. Have you seen that?
No, I never watched it.
Okay. It's a show.
I know what it is.
Okay.
That and what's the other Ghost Whisperer? I never watched that. But
Yeah,
that's
there's-
actually based off a real person, though.
Yeah. I've only seen one episode, and that's how I picture mediums being. Like, they're just going about their daily life, and then somehow something happens to them, and then they feel this inner desire to go talk to the spirit and fix it.
Well, I can say that the ability is different for everybody. It's not the same for every single person. So what I may pick up on and see and feel may be different for another person that's a medium as well, sitting right next to me. They may smell it or maybe have more of a sense of what the person's feeling rather than me. So it is different for every single person, though.
And you mentioned that you're scared of aliens. Are you scared of anything else? I feel like you have to be pretty brave to be, talking to, the paranormal so often.
Yeah, I'm not scared of anything. I get creeped out a lot. I don't like getting creeped out.
Like
aliens creep me out.
Yeah. When you were doing the initial walkthrough through this library, I was like, this is creeping me out. But these people are acting like it's like normal day-to-day stuff.
Oh yeah, this is daily. This is daily for us. We can walk into something and be okay. It's the only time I just don't feel comfortable is when the person or spirit that I'm talking to has had an unfortunate event, and they're trying to get their message across. And it's sad when you feel what they felt or see how they passed away. And some of these are not, pretty. Some of them may be violent. And you have to deal with that afterwards too, because you're taking on that energy. So it's your energy that you're using, and you're taking in theirs, and you have to expel that afterwards. And if you don't, it kind of drags you down, makes you depressed. So it's a lot of stuff that you have to go through to also speak to these people, be a medium or a psychic as well.
And
So
how
you're-
do you expel it?
Again, it's with I use meditation, and I just release all this energy from me after I'm done reading with anybody, because it does stick with you.
And what about you, Bree?
I'm more of a empath. I feel things that, other people like feel, whether it be you guys or, the spirits. It's kind of hard to explain. But I will say, like, once you open your mind to, more of the paranormal stuff, like, your abilities come to, like, they show more. You're more able to use those once you have an open mind.
And what's the most vivid that your encounters with the paranormal have ever been?
You mean as far as the experiences?
The experience, like, what's the highest level of connection you've ever made with a spirit?
Well, let's see here. Let's do the laundry list. Let's see. I have obviously been touched. I've had my ankle yanked. I've been burned. I've been pushed. I've been tripped. I've been scratched. I've had a black eye before. We've also heard audible evidence as well. So we're asking questions and we hear an audible response. That happens semi-often. And then also our equipment. We do rely on our equipment as well, not just our senses, but our equipment too. So we ask direct questions or ask it to do direct things to our equipment, and it answers back. So that's great for us when we do see that. It validates a lot of stuff. And we try to leave some of the evidence that's up for interpretation out, because we want solid evidence to present to the public. Now, again, I'm all up for interpretation as well. But again, that's where we try to get that hard, solid evidence out of each case.
And there are stories of the Willowbranch Library being haunted. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about those stories?
Now, these are stories I found on the internet. So I don't know the source, but some of the few things that I did read was about a female. I heard about her that's kind of hovering downstairs in the base or in the sub-level area, which is where we were earlier. And I did pick up on a female down there. Also, I heard about talking in the stacks area of the books. Now, I'm not sure where in the library, because there's two or three sections here. So I'm not sure where these supposed voices that people are hearing are coming from. But I guess we're going to find that out tonight.
Yeah. So listeners, like Misty and Bree said, they have felt some things here in this library. So if you want to see what happens to us as we observe Misty and her team, be sure to check out our blog post.
So I think we should get to the investigation part. I'm ready to explore the
let's get
Willowbranch Library.
this going.
Do you
See what
guys
we
call
get.
it ghost hunting? Can we go ghost hunting?
Yeah, let's go
Ghost
bust some
fishing?
ghosts.
Okay, let's go Ghostbusters on this place.
Let's do it.
So we're here to communicate with you. We're here to learn a little bit about you and why you're here. We really want to hear your story. We want to hear your story. We want to tell people your story. So we really encourage you to come and interact with us. We have a whole bunch of stuff here for you to play with. And these tools are used for you to communicate with us. We have a flashlight right here. And what you could do is connect that light and it should go on. We also have these little red lights all over the place. And if you talk really loud into it, we'll be able to hear you. And then we have some of these meters as well. And you can fiddle with the lights and we can see you. So we really encourage, there it goes. It just went off a little bit. Did you see it? Mm-hmm. So thank you. So we really encourage you to come back and try to communicate as well with that way. Okay, so just to explain a little bit, when I do readings, I usually keep my eyes closed just so I can concentrate. When I tell all this information that I'm getting, and I just spit out what I see, what I hear, and what I feel. We always tell everybody to take it with a grain of salt until we listen to our audio and kind of confirm what I've heard. And it's pretty spot on anything that I'm picking up. We usually pick up on our audio. So Again, just take it with a grain of salt, okay? There's quite a few people, actually. Now, I think the spirits that are coming in here are not necessarily haunting the library, but maybe the surrounding areas and the land itself. I don't think they have an opportunity too much to talk to people, and that's probably why they're kind of coming out on the roads right now. There's probably, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's probably about 5 sitting in this room right now. So I have, it looks like 3 females and 2 males. One of the males is a boy, a young kid. His attire, it looks like black knickers or slacks, that come down right below the knee, with a little white suit, maybe a black little tie right here, blonde hair. I'm asking him where he's from. I'm getting a J name, either James or Jason. Sounds like James. And he's showing me his foot. He's saying he's saying that he hurt his foot, or something happened to his leg, and then he didn't feel too good, and then that's when he went to sleep. The 2 females that are here, one female that is coming through, I'm going to peg her probably around maybe 1870s, 1880s, just from the attire that she's wearing, because her hair has volumes in it, kind of layers. Has a small little hat pinned in. She has almost looks like velvet, but it's all purple, very dark, deep purple. She's saying that her father had a home right down the street. He was a very well-to-do man, and her father owned a home right down the street. Getting a lot of pain in my head from her. So I'm not sure what happened to this up here. Something happened to her in her. I don't know if she had a really bad fever. She said her dad was a banker. She's showing her father as well. He has the mustache, the small beard down here. His nose is kind of swooping up. She's a very snooty woman. She is like, oh, my father was in the newspapers often. And I'm asking her why she's coming here talking, and it's because they don't get to talk to too many people, and that's why they're kind of coming out. Now, the other female that we ran into earlier is here as well, but she is a very sweet soul. I'm getting Sarah, and then something H. Sarah H, something like that. She said she was taking care of her mother, which passed away. I don't think she ever got married, never had kids, never had family. Let's go ahead and ask K2. See it? Alright, so I'm going to start a dowsing rod session. You guys can cross the rods for yes. Okay. Is there anybody with us tonight that wants to talk? That's a yes. Is there more than 2 spirits in this room with us right now? Yes. Can you make one of our meters go off? Okay. What about that flashlight? Can you try to touch that flashlight for me and see if you can turn it on? We'd really appreciate it if you did. Did you used to work at this library? No. Was this building here when you were alive? Yes. Do you have a message that you want to give? Yeah, kind of. Just want to talk to somebody? Do you make your presence known often? No. You guys want to try it? You just hold the rods. They're in little cylinders. Sometimes they work real well with new people. Sometimes it takes a minute. So
Just hold them like
just hold them like that, because you see it's in a cylinder. You can't squeeze it any way it goes. Can you cross the rods for Gabby? Please. There you go. Just a little bit more. There you go. Almost, you got them. Thank you. Appreciate that. I bet you nobody's tried to come and talk to you before, have they? Yeah? Somebody has come and talked to you? Did you used to live around here? Yeah? Because you see how they're moving further together? Mm-hmm. That usually just indicates another yes. I have another set. Do you want to use that? Sure. Yeah, just let them kind of sit in your hand to let them move freely. Yeah, there you go. All right. Can you make Amanda's go to yes? This is Amanda right here. Can you make her rods go to yes? Or cross them? There you go. Thank you. Can you uncross them for me? There you go. You know, you have a whole audience tonight that wants to hear your story. Gabby's sitting over there with her rods too. Can you point Gabby's rods over here, please? Just give us a sign that you're here. That's what we want to do.
This one's pointing at Justin.
I was going to say.
Yeah, there you go.
This one's like trying to get over.
Trying. Well, thank you. Did you have any family here in Jacksonville? And cross the rods for me. There you go. Did you have any children? Yes. Well, we only have a limited amount of time, okay? All right. So we really need you guys to come and interact with us because this is probably going to be maybe the only time someone's going to come in here and talk to you, okay? All right. Is there more than 5 spirits in this building? Yes. Did they all actually haunt the library? No. I was picking up on a Sarah. Is she still here? Yes. I'm hearing chattering in the back. Did your mom pass away, sweetie, while you were taking care of her? Yes. I know it's kind of hard losing a parent, isn't it? Yes. Is there a reason why you chose to stay here on this plane? No. Are you stuck? Yes. Do you want us to go into another room? Yes. Can you point to where you want us to go? Over there? You want us to go in the children's area? Yes. All right.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Completely Booked this week. We hope you enjoyed hearing Misty and Bree's stories and for tagging along on the investigation with us. If you want to do a little investigating yourself, be sure to check out our blog where we post all of our videos and photos. Plus, you will see Misty's findings there as well.
Spooky season is the perfect time to ponder the possibilities of realms beyond, and we had a blast working with Misty's team.
You can head to pfcparanormal.org for more information about services the team offers. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jack's Library for updates on future podcasts and all library happenings.
Until next time, I'm Gabby.
And I'm Amanda.
Bye guys.